Huh?
I just asked.
No. Oh, no, no. Oh, that's fine.
Wait, hold on, hold on.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give it a few more minutes as people are still starting to enter the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm just gonna say. I'm worried this is not going.
Can you guys see me and hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the HR transactions demo. I know it has been long waited. My name is Lisa James, and I will be your presenter today, along with my peers, Lindsay Hyman and Denisha Good. Again, we're so glad to be presenting this because we've waited for so long. We'll go ahead and get started. And next slide, please, Denisha. Again, my name is Lisa James. I'm one of the HCM management training specialists, as well as Lindsay Hyman and Denisha Good. They are my peers. Next slide, please. I added a stop, start, continue worksheet as seen in previous demos for you to track notes or make notes. And once I'm initiating these transactions, you can actually just jot down anything that may impact your agency's operations, whether you want to start, stop, or continue it. So that was one of the things I wanted to include in this demonstration. Next slide, please, Denisha. We'll talk a little bit about the direct hire, the rehire, termination. We'll initiate a change job. We will also initiate a change job from agency to agency, so you can see that process. And we will also initiate some compensation changes, and that will be done by Lindsay. We will take a 10-minute break after I demo the first 3 or 4 transactions, if that's okay with you guys. If you have questions, please, please, please put those in the chat. I have people in the chat that will kindly answer those questions starting off, and anything that we can't answer, we'll add it to the parking lot and we'll get those answers for you as soon as we can. Next slide, please. So some of the change impacts with the direct hire. In demo 1, we saw where the candidate applied Team Georgia Careers, and they were hired through the traditional recruiting and onboarding process. In the direct hire, we're going to hire this candidate or this pre-hire from the position itself. We'll also see where the proposed comp will take place in the hire. The manager will submit a security request for the Workday access. The background check. The background check is not included in the process. It will be a standalone process, and I'll show you that. The offer. Can someone please mute?
Lisa, I'm so sorry. I think I accidentally muted you as well.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
That's okay. The offer is not a standalone process, and it cannot be done outside of recruiting. So what you saw in demo 1 is where the offer triggers in that process. The offer here will be outside of Georgia at Work, but I'll show you where you can download the offer or add it as an attachment once we're in the hire. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the process map, the business process map for the hire. So Holly, who's an HR partner, Holly will go to or pull up her supervisory organization. Go back a couple, Denisha. Go back to 1, please. Thank you. She'll pull up the staffing from the org, the current org, and then she'll review that staffing tab and then pull up that position, and that will be the position that she will hire from. Once that's done, the system will generate, either we can choose a pre-hire that we already have created or someone that's been waiting and they're in a pre-hire state, or we can create a pre-hire, and we'll look at that as well. Once we create the pre-hire, we need to add the address, phone number, and email. Those are critical. The email address is critical because that's how the pre-hire will receive their Workday logins. So that's very critical. And the system will give you a validation error if that's not included. Next slide, please. And again, as I stated, we need to add the phone number, address, email address. The date, very critical. If you have an existing pre-hire, and again, I'll show you all of this, and the pre-hire was created yesterday, but you're hiring them today, we need to make sure that we update that address field, effective date field, to today's date, to the hire date, or else again, you will receive a validation error. We'll enter their address with the city, state, postal, the county. We'll select the type, which will be home, and we'll submit. And then we'll click OK. It'll open up the hire page. We'll enter that information. And again, this all will be demonstrated. Next slide, please. Once we're into the hire process, unlike the traditional recruiting and onboarding, we'll be able to select the job profile, which will default based on which position we put in, because that information is going to pull from the position restrictions. We'll enter the time type. We'll enter service dates if need be, which the service date should be the hire date unless they are a rehire. And again, we'll look at that as well. You may enter a comment. You can add an attachment such as the offer at this stage. You'll click submit, and that will open up the compensation page. Once the compensation page is open, you'll see that all of that information is pulled again from the position, such as the comp grade profile, all of that. And then you'll click submit. We'll get a summary page, and then once we submit it, we've attached the pre-hire to that position. Next slide, please. The rehire, we'll talk a little bit about that. I know in demo 1, someone asked about how can we see if they're eligible for rehire? So I'll show you that process as well from the pre-hire record. The pre-hire, it'll show where they were terminated, the termination date. It will show their hire date. and that the status is terminated. And once we hire them, I'll run through that really quickly because it's basically the same process, but I want you to see those continuous service dates, how their seniority date pre-populates or defaults once the workflow starts. Next slide, please. And again, this is just the process to rehire, where the HR partner populates the existing fields, searches for the pre-hire record. We also will pull the pre-hire based on the employee ID that they had before they were terminated. We'll locate them, and then we'll attach their profile to the position that we're hiring them into. Next slide, please. I added the process to transfer or change org. We won't demonstrate this one, but if you are changing an employee's org assignment, you will not get the compensation page to add any type of compensation or change the comp. You can do that as a standalone process, or you can initiate a change job, which I'm going to show you as well, and you can change the compensation that way. Next slide, please. And this again is just a business process map for the HR partner to select the correct company, the cost center, the fund, any type of combination code, click submit, and verify the confirmation of submission. Next slide, please. We will talk about a termination and what that looks like. There is no manual process outside of Georgia at Work for the termination. Next slide, please. The HR partner, the manager, or HR specialist will initiate the termination. We can do that in the search field by terminate employee, which is the task, or if I'm a manager and the employee is on my team, I can select the related actions and start my termination. The only difference is a manager that does not have the role of HR partner or HR specialist will not be able to validate if the employee is eligible for rehire. So once it routes to the HR partner or HR director for approval, they then will be able to check yes or no, eligible for rehire. And I'll show you that in a demonstration. And this is the business process map. And we'll see the pay through date, termination last dates, where you can attach the resignation letter, things of that nature. Next slide, please. And this is just a continuation of the business process map for the termination. Next slide, please. And I'll pause right there. And Denisha, you can stop sharing. I'm going to turn my camera off for bandwidth, and we'll go ahead and get started on these transactions. Any questions before we start? I'll start there just in case. Silence. Okay, let's get started. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Has it.
All righty. Let me get my notes 1 second. And you'll see me proxy. You may not have this permission, but I'll proxy throughout the workflow just so you can see who the next person who's up to approve or review the next step in the process. So we're going to start.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I believe Ann hand is up. I believe she has a
Ann?
question.
Okay, Go ahead, Ann. I'm sorry.
No worries. Good afternoon. Just real quick, when we talked about the approval process for the termination, when I know our system, we do pre-confirm and confirm for payroll so far in advance that if someone gave less than like a 2-week notice, waiting for it to route through all of those approvals, you can run into situations where employees get overpaid.
Well, when we process the termination, we'll have a last pay date or pay through date. The system will generate that date for us.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll demonstrate all that and go
Okay.
over all the fields as we go along.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, Lisa, it's Mahershala. I have another question.
Sure.
In the comments, Clifton Mitchell asks, how is the pre-hire record created?
So the pre-hire record will be created from the hire, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Because I'm going to hire I was going to use my own pre-hire, but I want to show you how to create the pre-hire and how that looks in the demonstration. So we'll create a pre-hire here. Any additional questions in the chat? I can't see it. That's why I'm asking.
No, there
Okay.
aren't any additional questions. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and get started. So in this demonstration, I am going to proxy as James DeSantis. Jimmy, I'm going to pick on you just a little bit if you're here. And so to start my hire, I'm going to the supervisory org. Give me 1 second. I'm just copy and pasting if there is a lag from my notes. See, where's my org? 1 second. One second, guys. I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second. Let me sign out of Workday and sign back in. 1 sec. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I pulled up the position, but let me go back to the soup org. Okay, there we go. So in the supervisory org, we have tabs. So the members, the staffing, the one that we want to pay attention to is our staffing tab. Our staffing tab is where we're going to have those positions, and we can see them whether they are tied to a requisition or they are not tied to a requisition. We'll be able to see all of that. And it's a little slow. So these are the ones with open job recs. We don't want to use that because that will take us back through the traditional way of hiring somebody through the regular recruiting and onboarding process. We're going to look for the ones that don't have requisitions. And scroll here. I'm going to filter for my position. And again, this is the position that I will hire into, the job family and the job profile. Let me click on this position. This is the overview, the org, call center, where there's full-time, the job description. These are my position restrictions or hiring restrictions, which will give me my job profile, any profiles within the family, the location, the availability date, earliest hire date, time type, worker type, and so on. I want to pay attention. If there were any qualifications, they would be here as well. I want to pay attention because if you don't have compensation, the system will not allow you to move forward with the hire. So those are mostly the 3 main tabs that you need to pay attention to. So off of the related actions of this position, we're going to hire employee. Can you see where I can start hire if I had an existing pre-hire, or I can create? And so for this demo, we're going to create one, and let me get my pre-populated stuff out of there. We're going to hire DoorDash. We'll search her. No results found. So now I need to enter some contact details, such as a phone number. And I'll put that there, but I'll change it to 25. We need an email address. And again, there's nothing, so we're going to create pre-hire. This field will open up for us to fill out the information. The asterisks are required. We still can add a source if need be. We can add referred by. It's a lot of names, so we can pick one. We can add a comment here. This is the position that we're hiring into. If Dora was William Thomas, which is a common name, we could check this allow duplicate name. Therefore, the system will keep moving and not give us an error. We need to, again, add the contact information, which is the phone number. And I think I changed this to 25. I think. If you don't have the same phone number, it will error out. But I can go back and fix that. Home, the address, and see how that effective date is today. I'm going to add 23. There has to be a city, a state, a postal code, and these are fictitious. County, and the type. Even though I added Dora's email address on the other screen, I need to add it here as well. And the type is home. You can add instant messenger or web addresses, add comments. We want to leave the public visibility unchecked because this will appear on the profile. And I don't know if, we want people to visibly have someone's personal information. And I'm going to click OK. And this is Dora. This is the pre-applicant ID, the supervisory org that we're hiring into, and the position. And we'll click OK. We're going to add the hire date as today, which will default. This is a new hire. And we'll add new position. The position will default here. The job profile, we can use the suggested, but it's going to bring you everything that's in that job family. So from that job profile on the position, I'm just going to enter it in. Second. 2, 1. And it will default. The classifications will default. You can add additional here. The time type, the schedule, full-time employee, 100%. I'm going to give her a shift days. Her service dates. Well, we can leave accrual. We'll make it today. Enter a comment. Here I can enter, and I'll just put an offer for one of these other people that I was playing with. Put an offer there so you can see it. In the description, I'm going to type offer. And then I'm going to search offers. And it'll populate. And I'm going to submit. The compensation page will open. All of this compensation information is defaulted from the position restrictions. So the total base salary, the proposed comp ratio, the pay, the guidelines for the total base range, the packages, comp grade profile, the salary. If I needed to edit, and we promised Dora a different amount, we could edit that here. Make it a 7. And we can save it. And we'll go next. Here is our summary page. The position, the supervisory org, her hire date, and it's the reason. Again, we can enter comments and we can still see her offer here. And we'll submit. Now, I'm going to see if it's going to bring me back to the hire details. This will bring you back to the hire details because we need to update some fields in here for the gender and the date of birth. So what we're going to do is I'm going to duplicate the page. I'm going to pull up Dora. And I want that pre-hire record. I'm going to edit her contact information. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm going to edit her personal information. And this will open the gender and the date of birth. I'll put that in there. I'll also put her marital status, even though it doesn't have an asterisk. And I'll also update the race and ethnicity. If there were any disabilities, I can add those here. Military service, I can add that here. And okay. And done. I'm going to go back to my hire. I'm just going to click next. Everything is still there. My salary, my total base comp, my compensation packages. I'm going to go next. It will open back up that summary page. My offer is still there. And I'll submit. Something's going on here. 1 second. Where's my error? Let me go back to the address field. I think it's that phone number. I can't remember what I made it. 1 second. Pretty sure it's the phone number. I think it was 35. The phone numbers have to match or else it's going to error out. I may have to do a different person, but let me see. But just know when you get to this point, it's usually the phone number. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the phone number. Yeah, it's the phone number. So give me 1 second. Let me stop sharing for 1 second. And I'm going to open up another workday. Give me a minute here so I can see what I made it. And I'm just pulling back up the position. Give me 1 second. Got a proxy. Okay, I made it 3-5. Let me see if it'll work. If not, I'll choose somebody else. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Next. Yeah, let me do someone else for this position. 1 moment.
Lisa,
Yes.
what is the error again? Because you may have to make the phone type home.
Home.
Um,
Yeah. It's
all
home,
of
but
it
it's
is home?
it's home. It's just that you have to have the correct numbers in there. And so if I made it 2-5 instead of 3-5, even though I'm changing it, the system won't recognize it. Let me give me 1 second.
Tanya, it's Tanya. While we're waiting, can you guys go ahead and answer Ann's question in regards to a termination and how we can move that through the process, do the recap and avoid an overpayment, please? Or I saw Tanya on as well. Either one. Can you guys answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, it is true that with all of these processes that we're covering today, until the process is completed all the way to the end and approved, it's still in process, so it's not complete. So I don't know how to it's going to be a change management issue. I mean, we're going to have to make sure that we're going in and looking at notifications every day. I'm not saying you stay in there, but maybe you allot a time frame every day to look and see what you have in your box to make sure we're moving people through the system correctly. Because this is not just an issue with terminations. And terminations is the biggest issue because it's overpayments, but it could be people transferring. You'll see later when she does the transfers. Things like they have to be approved, or if they will not, the person will still be in the previous state. So we can, I mean, and we can run, I think, one of the things we want to do, we probably will try to do it at when we go live, the first couple of weeks is to monitor that to make sure we don't have things sitting too long and try to, build it, look and, us as a support team will look and see where the challenges are, like where are things sitting, what's the issue, and we can kind of, maybe tweak how we do, but we do want to look at it. But as for now, that is the process.
Yeah.
But we
And
will
also,
be looking at it to see like we don't want to have like 200 people sitting in queues and stuff is not getting done either. So we want to
right.
make sure that we definitely will be monitoring it.
And also, just an added note, you will receive a notification via email.
Yep.
So when there is a task in your inbox, you will get a notification in your email, as well as, to Tanya's point, creating an aging report where we will see those tasks that's been sitting in inboxes for a certain amount of time, and then reach out to those agencies or have the agencies to run those aging reports.
So, and if everyone's processing from their tax box, you can avoid that overpayment of that terminated employee for those last minute terminations or resignations.
Okay, so could we also, like, because we're the agencies, we're able to set up who is the reviewing or approving authorities, correct? On those type of actions, or is it automatically defaulted to that person's supervisor?
No, it's you're right. Your first statement is right. You guys are you and your security officer will work with who you want in in certain roles. So you
Okay.
guys will determine who is the specialist, who is the partner, who's the HRD, regardless, of what your title is. If you need to be in a role, kind of like today, a lot, like say, you may be a HR transactionalist, but you may be a HRD in your role. You see what I'm saying? So your role, you can put people in roles, as your business, dictates basically.
Got you. But now
Yeah.
let me also, and I don't know if this question, I know I asked this a long time ago when we first started all of the in-depth reviewing for the transition to the new system. Currently in the state, payroll is produced whether a person's timesheet is submitted or approved. Is that going to change in the new system? Is there a rule that can be written to either do or undo to allow that to not happen?
Is Floyd still on?
I am.
Mr. Gibbs?
I mean, do you
I'm
understand
here.
what I'm asking?
Yeah, so can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Nothing changes about how someone gets paid with the new system, whether they, well, and let me be specific. We're talking about for salaried employees. So whether they fill out their timesheet or not, um, timesheets for salaried employees doesn't have anything to do with how they get paid.
So that I guess that era is going to continue into the new technology.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the technology. We could turn it off. That's just a call by the state that pay, regardless of whether someone fills out a timesheet or not. And to be honest with you, Ann, we wouldn't want that based upon the trends of how managers approve time, because the employees mostly have their timesheets filled out. Is the managers that hadn't approved them that's been the normal issue. So that would cause other issues if we went the other route. And not to mention that the state is paid current and not on a lag.
Right.
So
And I know earlier on there was conversation about that as well. So I guess that's already been settled. We're going to stay on current time.
that is correct.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
Almost there, you guys. I picked somebody else. Give me 1 second. Let me just change this date right here really quick. And I'll share my screen so you can see. Let me know if you guys can see.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. The phone number, if the phone number is not correct, it won't work. So I just picked somebody else. Remember, I said that if I already have a pre-hire sitting in this, just sitting as a pre-hire profile, I can use that person, but I would have to change the effective date to the hire date, which is today. So his profile is already created. I'm gonna go okay. I'm gonna go done. I'm gonna go back here. This is the position that I'm hiring him into. And supervisory org, and I'm gonna go okay. Hire date is today. It will default, as I said, he is a new hire.
Yo. Yeah.
New position.
You're a trader, aren't you?
One moment. Respect. Can someone mute?
You already crossed the line when you put your hands in my face the other day.
Can somebody mute?
You know what, Anthony?
Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. And so this is the position, the hire date, the new hire, the position information here. We're hiring to an admin support role. And let me go back and pull that job profile from here. Paste. And it's going to be non-exempt. I'm getting all of that with default, classification, working time. We're gonna give them a working shift. We'll make this, well, I'm sorry, we'll go forward 30 days. I can add a comment and again, an offer. And I'll submit. My compensation will open. Now this position is hourly. Everything's added here. The plan, assignment details. Again, you can edit and change that salary. We'll go next. My summary page will open. You can still see the offer. Submit. I'm going to speed up a little bit since we had that little hiccup. Up next, Felicia will edit the government ID step. That will open and appear in her inbox. I'm going to open it. So here, I'll add the social security number. Look in this field. Then I'll add a date and submit. Felicia will change the org assignments if need be. So this is like a verification for everything that we put in or everything that pulled from the position restrictions. And we can edit that here if needed, if we needed to. So the supervisory org is here. The call center, the fund, the source, special fund code, department ID, all of that will default. Again, we can drop files, make comments. Cost and allocation step is up next. I'll view those details and proxy as the HR partner. Let me click done here. And let me proxy as Cheryl because the step actually routed to Cheryl. Let me maximize the screen. This is our costing or assigned costing allocation for hire employee. We can say working position or you can choose one. The date, if you have proposed costing allocations, you can add those there. You will open that up and then add the information across. I'm going to submit. I'm going to reassign this because it's not assigned to anyone. So give me 1 second. And this routes to the budget manager. In your environment, it will route correctly. But again, this is a testing environment, so it may not. There's my costing allocation. Let me maximize the screen. And I'm just going to review. If any additional proposed costing allocations were here, I would verify, add a comment. You can see the history and approve. The HR director is up next. I'm going to view those details. And let me press done. Let me start proxy. Let me see if I can see it on this side here. I don't think I can. Okay. Let's see. There's the step. Here, Adam is going to verify the process, the org, position, hire date, job profile. the compensation, the comp packages, the organization, enter comments. You can still see the offer and approve, and you see your history is here. Your process history is here. Adam will edit additional data for the retirement plan. If you were going to choose one, you would click the drop down, and I'll just pick one for the sake of the demonstration. If there were none, you can put reasons here. Add a comment. Again, you still see the offer and submit. I'm going to edit the service dates. So Adam will open it, and this is still the HR director. So your effective date of hire date, your original hire date, your service date, the leave accrual. I'm going to add a faithful service award. A year from now. I can add that there. Drop any files, add comments, and submit. I'm going to skip the probation period. It's not needed. I will add comments and okay. And some of these processes you'll see you should have saw in the demo 1. So now we're at the onboarding step as seen in demo 1. And I'll stop here because it's going to route the traditional way of the hire as seen in demo 1. So that will be your direct hire. Again, people to meet, your notifications, your contacts. Remember, Monique told us that we can delete some of these people or we can add more. The subject, your header, things of that nature. And we'll just submit. So now, and your change benefit elections will open. And again, that's part of onboarding. So now if I go back to Peter Butter's name, let me search it again, it's the tenant. Peter Butter is now an employee. He now has a profile, and he still has a pre-hire record, but now he's actually hired in Workday or Georgia at Work. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the rehire. Let me stop proxy. Let me grab my notes for that. 1 second. Yes.
Hey, we have questions in the chat. Is this a good time to
Yeah.
open the floor?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Have Kristen Mitchell, she asks, what is an example where someone could be hired without a requisition?
This would be the direct hire, the process that we just showed. So the direct hire is not tied to a requisition. These are positions that are open without job rec. So you're actually hiring the employee from the position itself and not from the requisition.
Donald asks, are we saying again that the timesheet will not drive payroll? If they want, what will?
Aloy, that might be you with the timesheet question, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Are we saying again that the timesheet would not drive payroll? If they want, what will?
Okay, I barely could hear you, but I think you asked if that will the timesheet drive payroll, and if not, what will? What
Yes,
drives
correct. I'm
payroll
sorry.
for your salaried employees is this their regular standard hours and their salary. So the only thing that drives payroll for an employee that's related to timesheets are your hourly employees. So like for yourself, if you are a semi-monthly salaried employee, you get paid regardless of whether you turn in a timesheet or not. Now, it has turning in a timesheet has an impact on if you earn Georgia Comp or FLSA or those type of things. And and then from the absence standpoint, if you're taking leave, it has an impact on your balances, but your standard pay, it does not. Just like it does today. So it's no different than it is today that it will be in Georgia at work.
Thank you. Ann McGowan asks, for direct hire, would we have to do a background prior to entering the direct hire?
You can initiate the background once you, let me pull up his profile again. Who was I proxying as? Adam. Give me 1 second. Let me proxy as Adam again. So once we submitted the hire and they're still going to be in a pre-hire state when we tie them to the position. At that point, you can initiate your background check off of the related actions of the pre-hire record. Since we've already hired this person, but again, you want to do it once they're tied to a position and not when you just see a pre-hire record. So once you start initiating the process of hire, where we saw the compensation page where I messed up on the phone number, once we submit that page, you can actually go back to the pre-hire record, select the related actions on the pre-hire record, and you can start your background check. Or let me proxy as Adam again, or you can do it from the profile page. Give me 1 second. Let me show you. Peter. Start background check. Okay. Next question.
And Clifton Mitchell has a hand raised. I think she has
Okay.
a question.
Okay.
Okay, you can come off mute.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for going over the direct hire. I guess I was just trying to align my thoughts with present processes in terms of when would we hire someone without a requisition? I mean, is that a new process? Is that something that other agencies are doing today? I just didn't understand the
The
concept.
concept, yeah, why would you use direct hire? One of the SMEs want to answer that for the state.
I mean, well, now if you have people, some agencies have their own recruiting system. They have a separate recruiting system separate from Teamworks. So,
Okay,
just kind of how I mean, people, some agencies may not use the recruiting module, but they may use everything else like they do now. So, I mean, if
okay,
they don't use the recruiting module, that will be the way to enter in new hires. They will have to just do a direct hire.
okay. That helps me. Thank you so much.
hmm
Any additional questions, Marcela?
Yes, Valerie
Okay.
Jacob asks, since we are no longer submitting transactions for salary docs, if time card is not approved, how do we ensure employees are not overpaid?
That would be a Floyd question.
Do I need to repeat it, Floyd?
I'm sorry, yeah, if you could.
Sure. Valerie asks, since we are no longer submitting transactions for salary docs, if the time card is not approved, how do we ensure employees are not overpaid?
So it's the same thing as today. The system, if an employee is doesn't have leave, I'm thinking this is a leave question, then this system doesn't um substitute individuals doing their job. So in today's world, if leaving being approved, and employees are out of the office, They can be overpaid because their balance is wrong. This is the same thing in the new system. It doesn't substitute the fact that managers have to manage. But once it shows that you don't, if you have, you're not in the office and you're out of leave, then whatever steps that are in the HR process, you have to follow.
Thank you, Floyd. Any additional questions? Oh, Tanya, you got one? Okay, go ahead, Tanya. I see your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing, not to time, but when you were doing the last transaction and you went to the faithful service date, that date is new. I just want to kind of make a general comment that date is new in Workday. You can I don't know, you may not be familiar with the date, but it is typically the higher date.
Higher date? Okay.
Yeah, it's typically the higher date, unless someone has kind of moved around, and that's what the HR professionals on the phone know, how the date can possibly be different. That's why we made the date editable in Workday. But of course, if they're right off the street, this their first day at the state, it would be their higher date.
Be the higher
But
date.
if they're
Okay.
moving from somewhere, and that okay, they may have had 10 years with this agency, but this agency is not on PeopleSoft, that sort of thing, you're able to edit that date. So
Okay.
that's something that we added in Workday.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Any additional questions before we move on to the rehire? Okay, we'll get started. Same concept. We're gonna hire from that position. I'm gonna make sure that the rehire, that date, the address field date is today's date. I edit the contact information. I'll scroll just to be sure. It says the 28th. Okay it. And done. This is the position that we're going to hire them for. Let me just do one other thing here. So in demo 1, someone asked about eligibility. Rehire yes, rehire no. So from the job application, you can see it there. You can also change this. Workday will not let you move forward if this is a no. So you're able to change it. If the person was in your org and you can see them and see their transactions or their worker history, you can also see it from the worker history as well. Okay. So I'm going to hire Luke Combs in this position. And I'll get rid of this. In the worker ID type, I'm going to use her old employee ID. And let me grab that from over here. Her information will populate, the terminated status, employee ID, the hire date, and the termination date. I'm going to select Luke and I'm going to start hire. Same concept that we saw in the creating the hire profile. Like that today. We'll give it a reason, rehire, rehire. Everything will default. I'm going to put in this job. Let me find it. It will default. Full time. I can add a work shift. Everything the same. I can add a leave accrual eligibility date. And I can add attachments such as the offer or whatever attachment you wanted to add. And I'm going to submit. Again, this is the same process that we saw with the hire. The compensation page will open. The salary. Select next. The position, the org, the hire date, the rehire reason, and any files. I'll submit. I'm going to edit the government IDs. No, she's already in the system. However, the configuration was updated. So I need to change this because you can't have a social security number with leading zeros. So I'll change that. And I'll submit. We'll verify the organization assignments, just like we saw in the direct hire when we created the pre-hire, same thing. We won't change anything, we'll submit. We're gonna speed up a little bit because of time. The HR director is up next. Let me start proxy. Who is it? Nicole. Nicole has it in her inbox. Let me expand the page. Again, we're verifying the org, position, compensation, comp grade, the org assignments. We can add comments. This is the history. I'm gonna approve it. Nicole will edit additional data. Add the retirement if need be. Any comments, files, we're gonna submit. I'm gonna open these service dates and then I'll stop there. Because this person is a rehire, their original hire date will default. Today's date is their continuous service date. Their leave eligibility accrual date is here. Again, the seniority date is here. Any questions about the rehire? That is the rehire process, and I can submit. And then again, it'll go on for the probationary period, and then it'll trigger the onboarding setup as seen in demo 1. Questions about the rehire? Okay, I'll move on to, oh, go ahead, Miss Ann. See your hand.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be asking so many
That's
questions,
okay.
but I just want a little clarity. So, we're setting new dates for their service date. Is that what you said? That when this person, the example was a rehire.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that date error came up, we have to readjust that date.
You don't have to because she was terminated on 7/31. She was hired on 5/1/2025. So her service date or her original hire date will pre-populate. It'll default from her termination because she was terminated. So we're bringing her back. So you don't have to change anything unless, like Tanya said, they have like 10 years of service in another agency and you need to update those fields, you can. But from the termination, from her last termination, those dates will default.
Okay. Okay, I just have to rest on it for a minute because I'm not totally understanding what you're saying, but I'll rest on it for a minute. You can proceed on.
And one example would be if an agency wasn't on Teamworks or one, and so that information could not transfer from Teamworks to Workday, Georgia at Work, then that you would probably need to enter that person's eligibility date.
Okay, so if the person's they're being a rehire because at some point they've worked in Georgia state government. And so if they're coming to DHS, we're hiring them. But before they worked over I don't know, at a CSB who was not using Teamworks. And we're just going to put in a new date or fix a new date for them based on what knowledge?
I mean, I would say, this is Tanya. I would say based on, if you have some type of, because usually that date really sits with ERS.
Right.
So if ERS can, because see now, this whole thing is managed outside of Teamworks and ERS does it. But if ERS, if the employee's saying, well, no, I have this is my actual service date with the state, and that's how if this is only really for faithful service. Let me go back to faithful service. So for faithful service, so the date I was talking about. So if you can change those dates based on the faithful service date that I mean, and if ERS can validate that date, then you can put that date in. If you're not sure of the date, then use their last start date, which is their rehire date. Because I mean, we don't faithful service is kind of for the most part based on their service, their continuous service for the most part, faithful services. But if you have different, we're allowing you to kind of massage those things. We know there are special people within the state that have come in and out, gone between different agencies, and we want that to be reflected. So that will, to your point, the source would be ERS to get that information correct. But the HR professional can't enter it into Teamworks, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about the termination? I'm sorry.
This is Clifton. I have a question about it.
Okay.
So with entering those dates,
For the rehire.
currently we are mindful of whether or not that person has a break in service. So, and that is the only time that we really don't enter those dates because then it's pre-populated. So I guess I'm a little concerned or confused in terms of why are we managing that now when before the system just kind of took care of it. The system has your original hire date with the state. When you transfer, there's no break in service, so there's nothing to do. But when you are rehired with a break in service, then that date becomes your effective rehire date. So what's the reason of maybe doing something different?
Clifton, I can appreciate your question, but it's really because there are a lot of people in the state where their date is not correct. So, I mean, you may not have had that experience, but we get, when we do the Faithful Service Awards, some people say, oh, this is not my date. This is not my date. This is not right. This is not right. So we get that a lot here at DRA in HRA from across the state. So we want to make sure that people are able to, the agencies, you guys are able to make those corrections to what the information should be. I mean, and for us, 80% of the population is correct because most people, they came and they're here or they left, or it's kind of straightforward. But we do have that small population that, the dates for whatever reason, are not as straightforward, and we want to be able to give the agencies the chance to correct it and be right in the system.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Tanya, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead, Floyd.
Clifton, go ahead. Well, what I was
so
going to say is what we see a lot is that, yeah, employees move.
Uh-oh. Floyd, we
Lord,
lost
we
you.
lost you. Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
is
there she
not
goes.
consistent.
Wait, say that again, Floyd.
Can you hear me
You kind of
now?
went out.
Yeah,
You
we
went
can
out.
hear
sorry.
you now.
Start again.
I was saying that to Clifton's point, yeah, employees transfer from agency to agency, but the process that agencies use isn't always the same. And what I mean by that is instead of using the transfer process, there are many employees who get terminated at one agency and they get rehired at another one, and then there shouldn't be a lapse, but sometimes there is, and so that can break their continuous service. So, yeah, if you do a transfer and if the system is used correctly, then you're correct. The system will pick up when someone moved from one place to the other, but a lot of times that process isn't always followed the same by agency.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions before we move on to the termination?
I do have one question right here. It from Mr. Scott. He asks, is ERS prepared to give agencies a service date for rehires?
Scott, I would say, I mean, like I said, how you deal with ERS now, I don't know if you guys deal with them. If you have a question, you can ask them. Like they have a support desk where you can ask them question and answer back. I say that would be the same thing. Like I said, most 80% of your people won't have this issue. They're going to have a straight date. They were hired at one time only, and their faithful service date is the same. Everything's the same. So you won't have that as much. But I think ER can, answer if you have, this one employee, I don't think it's going to be a onslaught of information for them. And you just ask, however they receive questions or inquiries, you would do it that way.
Any additional questions? We'll go ahead and move on. All right. We're going to take a look at Taylor Swift, who's an employee. And we're going to terminate Taylor Swift. I'm going to proxy as the manager. Remember, I stated that the manager will not be able to confirm if the employee is eligible for hire, yes or no, because they can't see the field. But the HR specialist, HR partner, and HRD can. So we'll proxy as Michael. We'll go click on the related actions, and we'll terminate employee. We're going to give a reason. Taylor's going to go off. She's submitted a resignation. She is going to start a singing career. And she's engaged. So this will be a new venture for her. We'll add a secondary career change. And we'll save it. We're going to enter the termination date. We're in it today. She submitted her resignation, let's say August 4th. And we're going to save it. All of these dates will default. See how I think someone was asking about the pay through date is here. And we can change that. These are the position details. We do not want to close it, and we want to keep it open for overlap. We can submit the resignation here, enter comments, and submit. We're going to proxy as Natasha, the HR partner. The task will be sitting in the inbox, the termination task. Let me maximize the screen. We see the reason, everything that we filled out in the template before we press the submit button. The dates, the resignation, here is the field, eligible for rehire. We'll click the edit pencil. We'll add a yes or no and save it. We don't want to close it. It's available for overlap. We see the process history. And again, we can add files and or comments and approve it. Now, this will come up because Taylor has other in progress events. However, we won't open it. I'll take you back to her profile. We'll look at her worker history. We'll see that her termination is successfully complete. Any questions on the termination? Okay. Do you guys want to take a 10-minute break, or would you like to keep going?
Yes, a break would be welcomed. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll take a 10-minute break. I will see you back at 2, what is it, 27? Thank you, guys. Welcome back. Thank you for your patience. Hope you all had a great little break. And we are going to keep going. I'm gonna go back to the slides for just a second so we can talk about change job and a few of the compensation changes that we're going to initiate that Lindsay will be demonstrating. And we're going to share the slide in 1 second. Thank you, Denisha. And you can go to the next slide. And the next one. So the process to change the compensation, all of these comp changes, they will take place in Georgia at work. There is no outside or manual process unless your agency does something different. Otherwise, the request one-time payment and the request comp change will take place in Georgia at work. Next slide, please. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the process to initiate job changes. Next slide, please. These are reasons that you can initiate a job change. It can be a promotion, a demotion, a lateral, location change. It can be transfers from agency to agency, which is what we're going to demonstrate. I'm going to demonstrate a transfer, same org, but as a promotion. And then you will see a demonstration where we're transitioning from one agency to the other one via change job. And the reason will be a transfer. We are as well working on a job aid step by step for the agency to agency transfer. We do have job aids for the regular or the manual change job transfer, promotion, lateral transfers. Next slide, please. So the HR specialist, Terrence, he's going to validate the details. So we'll initiate the change job transfer or promotion in this case, and we'll fill out the start details. From the start details, we'll edit if we need to, update the position or the job. We'll update the job profile, which will default the business title, job title, the job classification as well. If we needed to edit that, we could. Next slide, please. Once we click next, we'll see where the process will flow through, where we can edit the company, the cost center. So there will be tabs when you see me process or initiate the task. So there will be location, there will be organization, and then there will be a summary page for me to review everything. And then once I submit, it'll route for approvals to your HR partners, your HR directors, so forth. Next slide, please. Now, the agency to agency will be a little bit different because the requesting agency will request the transfer. And so once they request the transfer, the HR specialist will review those start details that are put in and approve those. And then the next HR specialist will start to add or update the position. Once the task routes to them, they'll update the position if need be. Again, the cost, the company, the cost center, the fund, any of that information. And again, Lindsay will demonstrate that and you will see it live. Next slide, please. All right, Denisha, I'm going to share. And you can stop sharing. Thank you. And you guys can see my screen, okay?
Yes.
We're going to be transferring Jennifer Lawrence or promoting Jennifer Lawrence via a change job. So I have a profile pulled up. I'm going to proxy as her manager, Sharon. Off the actions, I'm going to click transfer, promote, or change job. When do we want this change to take effect? Let's click this edit pencil and talk a little bit about these fields. So we talked about, you guys were asking questions about payroll. So I'm going to put first, why am I making this change? Because I'm going to promote her. This date is the next pay period. So you see the field is automatically checked. If I were to transfer her today, the check mark goes away. Who will be the manager? Be Sharon. The team, all of that will stay the same because again, this is a promotion. I'm going to click start. My job tab will open. Okay. 1 second, let me minimize that. I'm going to change this position to something else just for the sake of the demo. I don't want to close the current. I'm going to leave it available for overlap. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to update the job profile. I'm just going to put something in here. We'll make it admin professional with the GTA, and it'll default. And see how the business title defaults. I'm going to click next. Once I click next, it'll go to the location, the route to the location. I'm going to leave the location as the same. However, I'm going to update her weekly hours to 40 and assign a work shift. I'm going to click next. These are going to be the details. Employee type, time type, the salary, 40 hours, whether she is 100% FTE, is a job exempt, things like that. First day of work. I can add any type of annual work period, anything here, I would just press the edit button. And we're going to go next. This is the organization details. So for the company, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to add a program just to show you can update it. And I'm going to add human resources. And I'll save that. The fund is already there. Fund source is there. So I click next. The compensation is here. Since I changed her job profile, this salary was removed and this salary was added. Okay. A comp grade, statewide was removed, but the GTA was added. And then the comp grade profile. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to adjust her salary just a little bit. We're feeling kind of generous today. I'm going to make it a 4, the 2 or 4. And I'm going to click here and you can see that I've given her 20,000 and this is the percentage change. Still currency and it's annual. I'm going to save it. I'm going to click next. I'm going to review just everything that I've added. Okay. Then I'm going to submit. I can add detail. I can add note comments at the bottom. Let me get down there. I can add my comments at the bottom. Then I can submit. Up next, it's going to be my budget analyst. Let me proxy as somebody else. Let me use this person. Okay. The task will be sitting in the inbox. Let me expand the page. Look familiar? The costing allocation step. Again, you can add proposed here by clicking the add button. Add your comments and the process history is here. And I'm going to submit. I'm going to view these details. Process. And I'm going to proxy as Ms. Deborah. Because now the budget manager needs to approve it. It is in my inbox. I'm going to approve, review, and approve. Details. I'm going to press done. Let me see who is up next. I'm going to press done here. I'm going to proxy as Miss Marie. The promotion is sitting in my box. I'm going to review. Position, effective date, it's a promotion, the salary, compensation, the plan, the org assignments, staffing information, add my comments, the process history, and approve. Okay. And then done. And proxy as Sharon. Our promotion is here. Already added. I'm going to review and submit. I can assign her a work schedule. I'll open it. It's there. I can assign it and I'll submit. The overall status is successfully complete. I have just transferred Jennifer Lawrence to that position. Any questions?
I think we're good.
All righty. I'm going to stop sharing and my peer, Lindsay Hyman, will take over from this point. Please keep adding your questions to the chat. Thank you. Thank you, Lance.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, let's get started with change job transfer. Let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so as we talked about before, I'm going to do a change job transfer. And I'll be proxying. So as you see proxy, it'll be actually a task in your inbox. Okay, so just keep that as a reminder. All right, so I'm going to pick on Gary today. I'm going to use his name, start out as the initiator, Gary Boyd. I'll type Gary Boyd's name here, and I am going to begin proxying with his name. Okay. And the job transfer I'll be doing today will be complete on Ted Turner. I'll go in here and type in Ted Turner's name, click on this profile, and from the related actions button on the left-hand side over here, I am going to click on request transfer. All right, so as before I start, I'm going to click on the icon over here. And as Lisa talked about, this relates to the next pay period. So once I change the date to today's date, it will be removed. I'm going to go in here and put the reason of this transfer on why I'm making this change. I'm going to put transfer, and I'm going to put a lateral transfer from a different company. Excuse me. Who will be the manager after this change? It's going to be Carrie Convery. Press enter. Once I entered Carrie's name, As you can see, everything underneath pre-populated for me, right? So underneath we have what team's going to be gained prosecution, and then the Floyd building was already there as well. After doing so, I'm going to click on the save button and then press start. Enter comments as needed, press submit. Excuse me. And as you can see up next, we have the change job transfer just for the review of the details. So I'm going to click on view details for the process. And I am going to proxy as James Miller so I can see it inside of his inbox. Press OK. And as you can see, it's here inside of James' inbox for the transfer for Ted Turner.
Lindsay, can I jump in for a minute right quick? This is Tanya. I'm sorry.
Sure.
So I wanna do laser focus to this transaction and what she's doing right now. Because this is totally different from how we do transfers now. This is a totally different process, and I need you guys to like really understand how this is going to work. She is transferring Ted Turner. She made the request to transfer Ted Turner. The request went to Ted Turner's agency, which is not Gary's agency. So I forgot I think Gary's Department of Law. Ted Turner is in GVRA, I believe. So the request went to GVRA. She is proxied in as the HR specialist at GVRA. GVRA receives the request for the transfer. Okay. Now GVRA has to approve it. So I kind of want you guys to get that framework going, because this is not how we do transfers today. And you guys need to start marinating this and getting this right with your souls that this is how transfers will work. So I'm going to let her continue, and on the end we can kind of answer some questions. Thank you, Lindsay. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Great. All right. So starting from there, we're just going to review over the details that I've already changed. And so just as you can see, I added the dates here. I added that it's going to be a transfer from a different company. We removed Christopher Wells, who was with GVRA, and we added on Carrie Convery. As you can see, GVRA has been removed, and then gained prosecution has been added as well. And so as you scroll down, you see information about opening, backfilling, overlapping. If needed to change, you can, but that's already been added. And then if you need to add a comment, you can, and then we're going to press approve. All right. So up next is going to be a review from an HR specialist. So we're going to click view details. So the process. And as you can see, that awaiting HR specialist is Deja Lawson. I'm going to proxy as Deja. Excuse me. Okay, press OK. And that's in Deja's inbox for Ted Turner, the James job transfer. And then just as soon as the same information that we just reviewed, we're going to review again, but just as an HR specialist, Deja Lawson. So reviewing the same information, seeing that information was added, the dates, why the change was being added, removed Christopher Wells, added Carrie, removed GVRA, and added gain prosecution. Okay. But then also down here under job, where it says position, we're going to click on this icon and update this position. Okay. So let me grab the position number that we're going to change it to. Okay. So we're going to change and update this position. I put the information inside the field, press enter. And as you can see, when I put that information in here, it updated as a full-time regular position. Okay. I'm going to save that information as the position. As you can see, once I updated that position, everything underneath has updated and changed. So for the job profile, it was previously a senior director of business ops has been removed and changed to assistant attorney general. The job title is there, business title. And if you scroll down, you'll see the same, it's the same for the Floyd building. That hasn't changed. But everything else has been updated if it needed to be. So as far as temporary has been removed and regular has been updated. And then if you come down here to job classifications, that's been removed and then updated for professional. So just by updating that particular position field that was here, it changed everything underneath. It updated for you. Okay, so the company, as Sonia was saying, VRAG was there, and now it's Department of Law. Call center, all that fund source, and the pay range. Okay, so from here, we're going to press approve. All right, and up next, we have the budget analyst position as the assigned costing allocation. So click on view details. I'm going to open this up. Go to process. Some of these fields are not required. So we are going to proxy as Cheryl, who is the budget analyst. Sometimes it does this weird stuff. It's a little wonky sometimes. Okay, I'm just going to go to security profile and start proxy. Doesn't want to act right today. All right, and I am going to press OK. A bit slow, but that's okay. All right, and we are going to, as you can see, it's inside of her inbox. We're going to click on the costing allocation for transfer for Ted Turner. Okay, so we have made it to this page for assigning costing allocation for change job. We are going to update this field to worker and position. Okay, if you need to add any proposed costing allocations, you can here, but you don't need to in this particular demo. So we'll scroll down and we'll select submit. Right, so up next, approval by budget manager, view details, go to process, and now we have Lamarte Bell. Okay, so I'm going to proxy. Okay. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to proxy as, okay. Okay. Go to his inbox. Scroll down, we're just reviewing this information. Going to press approve. Go to view details. Process. And now we're going to go in here and proxy as Gary Holt again. Gary Holt, sorry again. We're going to process as Gary Hoy as we're doing now. And we can see that Ted Turner's transfer is back in Gary's inbox. So from here is the retirement page, and we can see that the selections are already made. If you need to add a reason, then you can add a reason here, but there's no need for this particular demo. We will scroll down, and now we will select submit. We're going to press open for the onboarding setup. And now we're on the onboarding setup page, just telling you congratulations on your job. As Lisa mentioned earlier about the people to meet, you can remove or add people here, notification, all of that good information is here as well, helpful contacts, a header. And then we're going to just press submit. The next page is going to be the change benefit elections. We're going to open here. And then we're going to select let's get started. And from here, we're just going to click on the related actions tab, and we're going to hover over benefits, and we're going to hold this event, and we're doing so because we're going to hold it for the onboarding setup. Overall, this process is complete for the transfer job. So I'm going to click on hold event. I'm going to confirm and then select OK. And then we're going to press done. So if we need to go back in and see that this change was made, we'll type in Ted's name, click on his profile. And go down to worker history, select view worker history, and let's go to initiated date. Today's date is the 28th. I'm trying to take it back a day, sorry. Okay, it's on after, and we will see that the onboarding was successful for the tech transfer for Ted. It's here. All right. Are there any questions in the chat, Lisa or Denisha?
No questions.
Okay. So that's the process for change jobs or change transfer. I'm going to stop proxies this. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to start the process for the request one-time payment. Okay. So I am going to proxy as Latoya Sincere. I can keep fail today. Great. Okay. All right. So I'm going to proxy as Latoya. And then the employee that I'm going to do the one-time payment for today will be Bruno Mars. Bruno. All right. So we now have Bruno's Mars profile pulled up. Off the related actions tab over here, we are going to select one-time payment. Request one-time payment. Here we are. Okay. So a little blurb will come up basically talking about the effective date and the scheduled date must match unless multiple payments are being made during these dates determine the pay period. So not the actual payout date. And then the additional information field shall only be used to justify the payment request. So that blurb is basically what that is saying here. Okay. So the effective date would be today. Bruno's name is already populated. We're going to select OK. And we are going to scroll down so we can see all the way. Going to click the pencil icon. The reasons, I'm just going to put a one-time payment. I'm just going to put, he got a little bonus here. Save that, and then actually add the one-time payment. Bring this down a bit. We need to select the one-time payment plan. I'm going to put amount based plan. I'm going to put a lump sum. All right. We're just going to say he received $100. Okay. USD is already there. No other required fields. Make sure to press save. And now it's just telling you that it's going to reflect on the pay next tomorrow because we're making the fix today. And so if comments are needed, we'll add here and then we'll select submit. After selecting submit, now the HR partner will need to approve this one-time payment. So we're going to click on view details, click on process, and we have Karen Coffee. Yeah, she's going to approve it. Proxy is Karen. It is Karen's inbox as a task, and it's here, the one-time payment. Okay. So Karen is approving this. She's reviewing it and she's satisfied with it. So we're going to press approve. And now up next, we have the budget partner with now we have the final approval. So we will click on view details. Like this, click on process, scroll down a bit so you can see my screen. And then Natalie Brooks will give that final approval, which is the budget partner. Here in her inbox. And she's going to review it and she is going to give it the final okay. And so as you can see, it's been approved, it's success. And so that is the process for a one-time payment request. Any questions in the chat, Lisa?
Checking, 1 second. I don't see any.
Let me stop proxying. And now up next will be the last process that we complete will be the request compensation. Okay. So let me stop here. Start over. All right. All right. So now I'm going to do the request compensation for Will for real. But in order to do that for Will, I'm going to have to proxy in for a demo as Latoya Ward. All right. So let's click on Latoya. Let me proxy as Latoya. All right. Okay. Going to go up here and type in Will's name. All right. Let's go. Will. Okay. So now we're on Will's profile and we are going to go to the related actions. And from the related actions, I am going to select request compensation. And so that's here. And so we're going to use today's date because that's Lisa mentioned and I mentioned myself. If you have the next pay period, which is 9/1, it's going to select that box automatically. But as you change the date, that erases. Will's name is already pre-populated, so we're going to press OK. My lighting, okay, turn my lighting up on my computer. Went down a little bit. All right, so we have the effective date. Scroll down. We'll fill in the reason. And we'll just put that it was a pay rate change. A salary increase. By amount, press save. And then as you can see, the salary, the total base pay and the base pay range. We need to stay in that range between 95,000 and between 159,000. And then the salary, want to change it by $100. So I'll make it 21 instead of 421. You see that $100 automatically populated there. Press save. Scroll down, says effective. And now we'll press submit. And voila, we are done with the requesting compensation. This concludes the 3 processes that I just showed you. If there are any questions, we will now move it over to Denisha Good.
There are no questions in the chat. We can move on.
Denisha, you're up.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So I am just going to explain some of, excuse me, the key change impacts that are coming about with executing Georgia at work with these particular work streams. And so can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the core HR in Georgia at Work brings several improvements. First, we now have greater visibility into the completion of business processes, gaining access to real-time reporting, and automating certain processes to reduce manual work and errors. And of course, as with any new system, there also comes challenges, including the new terminology that has to be used, getting used to the new process models, um, and the fact that some personal transaction processes differ. So the training is essential, and we will have multiple versions of resources to utilize to be able to keep to access so that you can quickly reference the steps. So there'll be job guides and other resources that you can tap into to make sure you execute things properly, including additional training focus groups as well. What's not changing is that even though there are updates, the fundamentals stay the same. Agencies will still use an official employee record, and accurate, timely position management still remains critical. On the compensation side, GA at Work increases transparency. Employees can now view their own compensation history directly, and HR has clearer visibility into requesting changes. All compensation requests must be completed in GA at Work now, and that also means that budget checks shift to manual partner review, and this does change some workflow. So as discussed earlier in the demo, there are multiple ways that you receive notifications to ensure that these tasks are executed so that the next person can do their part as well. And there are a lot of terminology changes when it comes to the compensation side, and there will be multiple resources to reference and make sure that we get up to date with the new terminology and make sure the processes are executed efficiently. All direct questions can be sent to the SAO Teamworks group as well as the HCM Access group, and all contact information is presented here. When you log in to GA at Work as well, the same notice that's on the screen here, that information pops up automatically, and you can click on any one of those links if you need help as well. And now, are there any additional questions?
There are no questions in the chat, Denisha.
All right, Lisa, I will turn it back over to you for the, oh, Anne.
I'm sorry, I'm just not as quick on the draw with my little icon. So can you go back to a couple of slides where it had the information about the contingent worker? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Down here in the corner, new
go.
process. Yes.
Yeah. And so again, the way we define contingent worker is a staffing agency temp or someone is an independent contractor, meaning we've done a contract for them to do business with our agency. So is the intent for the contingent workers to be put into Georgia at Work only if they require access to Georgia at Work to perform the duties that they've been hired to do? So as an example, okay, Bo, you were going to say something?
No, I'd love to have your example before I
Okay.
answer.
So as an example, if we use Dover staffing because we need to augment some of our accounting staff, and of course the accounting staff, in order for them to do their job, they have to work in Georgia at Work. So now let me flip to another type of staffing agency temp that we utilize. On our child welfare case management side, we may have to use some staffing temps to be case managers. They do not need to do anything in Teamworks in order to do their job. So those individuals I would not be putting into Teamworks. I'm sorry, into Georgia at Work.
You nailed it. Exactly what you said.
Okay.
Dover staffing needs access in Georgia at Work for a variety of reasons, and plus the positive is you can track their hours in there. Now we know, of course, Dover staffing probably has its own tracking, right? And probably the two shall never meet in any type of integration, but at least you have those capabilities there. And Ann, you're
Okay.
spot on again. You're spot on again with the welfare. They don't need to be in Georgia at work, so they would not be.
Okay. Thank you.
Glad to do it.
However, it's the option there to put them in Georgia at work if you desire to do so.
I think that this is Bo again, I think you will need to demonstrate a need. Now, obviously, you're pretty much going to be able to put a contingent worker in if you like. But keep in mind, whenever you do put in a contingent worker, there's going to be required fields that you complete, right? So just the system itself may stop you from entering contingent workers because you may not have that information. That information might not even be a real thing, like a contract or length of a contract. So you'll have to go case by case on that. But there's not going to be a limitation on what you can put in there, but there will be auditing as to what you put in there. To use a contingent worker, you need to use Ann's guidance, not Ann's guidance, Ann's example, even though it was also guidance.
Yeah, and the biggest challenge for us as to why I would do it the way we're going to do it in our agency is because we do not want to skew the line between that contingent worker and an FTE. Because then you create a different relationship that you can be held legally liable for. And so, yes, it may be a great way to track them, but they're not our employees to track. They are, especially the majority of the ones that we utilize, 99%, are staffing agency temps. And so I'm not putting staffing agency temps in the HCM for the state unless they have to have access to the system to perform the duties that they've been brought on the assignment for.
And I can see how that certainly makes sense for your business model. With DBHCD, we use a lot of agency nurses. So as far as scheduling and seeing hours worked, Bo, it is much more, we're able to keep up with the numbers better.
Yeah, understood.
They would be using our time and labor system, even though we do not pay them. So that would be our business reason for putting those resources in, even though they don't need Georgia at work to perform their role.
Well, each agency will make its own decision. Those employment lines may already be blurred. So, again, it's an agency decision, but we're going to help walk you through it. We have until probably January for y'all to make those type decisions. But yeah, again, we want all the flexibility we can, some agency by agency. But what I can also assure you, and I say this with a smile on my face, those of you that have not seen me lately, let me turn the camera on. I can say this with a smile on my face. There's going to be some agency out there that puts their pet puppy dog on it. So, we will monitor, we will assist, and we will consult. I think your reasoning is an excellent one, Clifton.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take 2 more questions from Dawn and then Desiree.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to make sure, we may have gone over this before, but this is something that just came up with our agency. If we have an employee that may be split between 2 different departments, we're able to enter those 2 different department numbers so that maybe 50% could be charged to one department and 50% charged to another department. Am I correct on that?
That'll be a finance question that you'll learn in finance question. I can give you a heads up. And Floyd, are you still on the line? Floyd is one of the busiest men in state government. He may not be on the line.
I'm still here.
There he is. I don't know anything about the charging. Do you happen to know anything about the charging?
Yeah, so there's a costing allocation that you guys will go through when you're setting up your employees. If you're trying to split them, and first of all, excuse me, I know we're saying department, but let's use Georgia at Work vernacular. Those are going to be cost centers going forward. And so if you're trying to split someone, and for simple math, if we're trying to say 50% going to call center A, and 50% needs to go to call center B. You'll be able to set that up on that employee, so when they get paid and those dollars go over to the finance area, they'll be automatically split. So you can do that, yes.
Great, thank you.
Sharon made a note that we actually covered that in the briefing, so you'll be able to go back and watch the recording and see where you do that.
And hi, this is Desiree. I have a question about the contingent worker. You mentioned about having a contingent worker to track the hours. So coding a person as a contingent worker and tracking the hours, will that automatically ensure that they don't roll over to a payroll if we're tracking hours?
A contingent worker will not be paid out of any state payroll because they won't. There's a firewall there.
Okay.
For someone to be paid out of a state payroll, you would have to actually enter them in as a worker, not a contingent worker.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Last question coming up.
Hi, it's Jacqueline. I have a question regarding the contingent worker as well. Our agency never needed, had never need a reason to have a contingent worker up until now in our HR department. And we do have a temporary employee who actually need access. And I've been in conversation with SAO and come to find out in a Teams meeting today, we don't even have access to create a contingent worker in our agency.
Yeah, contingent workers don't actually exist in TeamWorks. That was something that was customized and certainly is going away.
Okay, so when we put a security request in, they were asking for an employee number. Come to find out, she was a former employee in 2023, so we had an employee number for her, but they still couldn't give her access because they said I needed to go into add employee instance, which took me nowhere, and we got nowhere with it. So is there special permissions that I need to have?
Yeah, I don't think, Jacqueline, I don't think anybody on this call is qualified to answer any questions about security access to TeamWorks.
Okay, okay.
Okay, you notice that I put please continue to put your questions in the chat, but since one of my best friends in the world, Forrest Tennant, has his hand up, we are going to go there. My apologies to everyone else, but
Not a problem.
Sometimes home cooking is okay.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I heard correctly that Floyd indicated that the time and labor for regular employees going back to won't be associated with payroll. It will remain a separate entity as we currently have it in TeamWorks. Did I hear that correctly?
Forrest, let me make sure I'm understanding your question.
That basically time and labor is kind of separate from the payroll function, meaning that time and labor won't really impact payroll for the most part.
So it's going to be the same way it is today.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought.
No changes. If you have hourly employees, their time will flow over to payroll because they get paid what they work.
Yeah.
Your salaried employees, whether they're semi-monthly or monthly, their pay doesn't get affected by what happens on the time on their time calendar.
All right. So for the zero record employees, for when we convert over, basically the current balances will just automatically convert over and go from there in terms of annual leave and sick leave balances as well.
That is correct.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, y'all are smart to get a time and labor question in a higher demo. I see how y'all slick.
Lisa and everyone else, back to y'all. Hopefully you didn't mind me stepping in and answering some questions about contingent workers.
Absolutely
No problem.
not,
Much appreciated.
Yes.
All right, Lisa, I'll pass it on to you for conclusion.
Thank you, Denisha. We're going to conclude here. We thank you guys for joining, taking out, your time in your day to join us and watch these demonstrations. I really think you guys are going to like Georgia at Work, the new system. I know it's a change, but we will, as a training team, get you where you need to be. No man left behind. My husband is in the military, so, and we will again get you there. We thank you again. Any questions, please reach out to those numbers that Denisha shared or reach out in the chat if you have additional questions. And again, we thank you so much for your time.